Hello everyone, my name is Anastasia Lee, and this is a beginner's guide to beginning the battledome. And why did I say it like that? Because I too am a beginner. So I'm a beginner making a guide on how to begin. I only started battling this year, sometime after the Altador Cup, but before the advent calendar. I have no sense of time, but suffice to say, I am new at this. So this is just going to be a very quick guide for people who might be intimidated by the idea of battling. If I can do it, I think you can too. I truly believe you can do it. So there are a few things that I will say I have completely lucked out on. This year, just after the Altador Cup, I adopted Rebella, and she used to be someone's lab rat, so she got zapped over and over and over again, and therefore she actually got really good stats eventually. I wouldn't say anything, I mean, she's alright. We'll see once we get into the actual battledome how low her stats actually look. But the one thing I will say is her hit points are out of this world. She is at 110 hit points. Now that is crazy when you think about my other pets and how low their HP is. So Stacely, her level is a level 30, I believe. She's higher leveled than Rebella, but she only has 12 hit points. So I have not trained her up. She was not ever a battledome pet. Honestly, the only reason I started battledome was because I adopted Rebella and I saw how many hit points she had. And also, I thought it was really funny that an elderly Ixie would be battling, so I call her Battle Granny. Anyway, I am incredibly lucky to not have to think about her health too much during battles. That is something that most players are really going to struggle with at first. So that's something that you might want to focus on training your pets, because see here, Novarina, she was also a lab ray pet for a little while, and she has 21 hit points. So obviously they're all overhealed right now from the healing springs. But again, just showing you that my situation right now is unusual to have such a high hit point pet, especially at such a low level. So that is something, I mean, look at poor Sour Rosie, only 6 hit points. That is absurd. So if you are just thinking about starting to get a pet into the battledome, I would suggest that you focus on, there is a little bit of funny math going into how high you can get someone's your pet's hit points when you are just starting out. I have been lucky enough to have like some random events and Coulson's Shrine increasing levels and stats as I've gone on. But one thing I will say is try to keep the battledome pet that you want as your active pet as often as possible when you are doing those sorts of dailies that can reward you with level up stats. Now I'm going to go ahead and take you along to the Swashbuckling Academy, where I am still training all of my neopets. Nobody has graduated yet, and we are going to check in. So this is what the main page looks like. Again, if you click on main, it's just going to take you here. Just a little bit of information. All he says is, "Welcome to Captain Three Legs Swashbuckling Academy. Whether 'tis a quick lesson you need, or you wish to stay for a week and master your skills, there be only 2 rules. All courses are paid for in doubloons, and I see the color of your money before training starts." So, just means you're gonna have to pay up front. So a really great way to make sure you're earning doubloons is to be doing 2 dailies. These are the ones that I have seen mostly that will give out doubloons most often, which is Anchor Management and Colton's Shrine. Now, when you're going to the academy, a couple things to keep in mind. When it is your Neopets pet day, so for Rebella specifically, if it was Ixie Day, it would be free for her to train here. So make sure to try to take advantage of that when you can. Now, when your Neopet is level 10 and under, it's only going to cost you 1 doubloon. Once they're 11 to 20, it'll be 2 doubloons. As you can see, 5 doubloons for anyone between 21 and 40. Now, I do believe I have Rebella in a course. She's probably finished with her course, so I'm going to go ahead and click on status. And here we go. I had Novarina and Rebella both in courses. Nobody else was in courses. They're very upset about this. But I was leveling both of them up. Novarina, basically just for fun. I'm going to go ahead and complete course, and she has increased level. Sometimes they will give you a bonus level when you train, so be aware that you might graduate faster than you think you will. So that's just something to keep in the back of your mind when you're doing these courses. Alright, so let's say we want to train Rebella up again, but we don't want her to level up just yet. Some of these are not going to give you what you think they might. So let's go ahead and go to the Battlepedia and check out exactly what these mean on a practical level. Now, what I will say is that Jelly Neo's Battlepedia is really, really going to come in handy as you're getting started. I'm going to go ahead and show you. There are 2 articles that are incredibly helpful, but honestly, all of these articles here are incredibly helpful to understanding what the battledome has to offer, how to begin battling, how to begin training. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that article, and we're going to look at how level plays with these other stats. So it says that level is useful for primarily 2 things: training other stats further and unlocking fairy abilities. So you cannot train your pet's other stats without also training their level. Those 2 things are linked. Unless it comes from random events and zaps and things like that, for instance, your health cannot surpass a certain level. I cannot train up Rebella's health anymore right now. She is over leveled in that way. So endurance is the HP and health. You're going to want to train, in my opinion, this is one of the most important things to level up first and level up fast. So I'm going to go ahead and take you back to the Swashbuckling Academy, and I'm going to show you. If I say I want to train up Rebella's endurance, which is her HP, that's her health. Now I say start course, it's going to take me to this error page here. And it says no statistic can go above twice your pet's level. So because Rebella is at 110 hit points, I cannot increase her hit points above 46. So she is over leveled. I'll call it that. She is over leveled in that stat. So I have to increase her level if I want to increase any of her stats. And even if I say, go back, and I say, okay, well, I can't train her HP. Let's see, maybe I'll train her strength instead. So I go here, I click, and want to train up Rebella's strength. I hit start course, it is going to tell me the exact same thing. So right now, the only thing I can do, the only thing I can train with Rebella is her level to get higher and higher because she has already over leveled in hit points. Now let's go check in here endurance, Stacely. Now, she would cost 5 doubloons because she's pretty high in level, and in fact, she is incredibly high in level. I would not want to level Stacely up if I could avoid it. I would not want to level Stacely up yet. I would want to train her endurance, all of her other stats up to their max before I have her graduate this academy. As you can see, she's a level 39, and this academy ends at level 40. But if I click start course, you can see I am able to go ahead and study endurance and get her some more HP. As you can see, this page is the page that gives you those numbers instead of those words that don't really mean quite as much. The average and excellent and great, those don't really tell you anything. This is the page that you want to look at if you're looking purely by the numbers. So for Novarina, her level is 5. That means her max stat in anything should be 10. So she is over-leveled in strength, defense, movement, and hit points. That means I have to train her level before I can do anything else with Novarina. For Rebella, same deal. She is level 23, which means her max stat should be 46. Now, as you can see, her strength, defense, and movement are all lower than 46. However, because she has such high HP, I cannot level up any of those other stats without first leveling her up to match her HP. So this is a situation where if I really needed strength, movement, and defense, and I really wanted to level those up, having a high HP pet would actually be quite inconvenient for me if I cared about leveling those things up. Right now, at the status I'm at with how low the battledome challengers I'm taking on are, I actually value her HP so much more than those other stats, so that's why she's my battledome pet. But again, if you are starting from scratch, if you're starting from zero, a brand new pet, that is also something to keep in mind. So same goes for Sushin. She is over-leveled, 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 over-leveled. Her max stat should be 6. She's over-leveled in everything. Sour Rosie, same deal. Over-leveled in everything. She needs to level up before she can train anything else. Sunshine Meringue, same deal. Her max stat should be 2. Same goes for Sour Rosie because they're both level 1 pets. Her max stat should be 2. Obviously, they don't tend to start that low. So that's why you have to keep in mind where your levels are going to be and what is important to you HP wise. Again, that for me and the way that I play, that's the one that matters the most. But like I've said, for Stacely, I am actually at the point now, again, I don't battle with her, so it doesn't quite matter how good her stats are. However, she's my precious baby who has been with me this entire time, so I am willing to spend the doubloons so that she can train up her endurance, her movement, her defense, and her strength. Again, at level 39, that means her max stat can be up to 78. And therefore, she is under-leveled on strength, defense, movement, and HP. So I am able to train her up. I am really trying to not get any random events or dailies or anything like that with Stacely as my active pet, because if she levels up, she will graduate from the Swashbuckling Academy and it will be more expensive to train her. Alright, so one thing we are going to look at is here is the battledome page. This is the first one. You can see I have only drawn one time. All of my other battledomes are wins. I'm actually still so upset about that one time I had a draw. It was just because I was not keeping an eye on Rebella's hit points that day. I was overconfident, so don't be like me, don't make that mistake. I could have had a perfect fight record, but I don't. So if you click on this battle button, that'll take you straight into a battle. We're going to put that aside for just a moment, and we're going to click on stats. So as you can see, all of her other stats are in the red here. She is not super incredibly high in her stats right now. Again, other than hit points. Her hit points are so far up, it is really wild. This means that battledome can go a lot quicker for me because I can just keep having, she's a tank basically. She can take so much damage that it really doesn't slow me down as much as it might for you, again, as you're getting started battling. But as you can see here, from my equipment, this is everything I have equipped to Rebella, and it is incredibly basic items. These are not very valuable items. My one very valuable item is the multi-barbed ice spear, which I was lucky enough to be gifted from one of my friends who had more experience in the battledome than I did, and therefore she knew that this was a high tier, or not even a high tier, but it does just enough damage to be valuable in the battledome. This item, as you can see, it has a quite high rating. Now this is my personal favorite because its actual value, neopoint wise, is not super high. It may have fluctuated since I was buying it, but yeah, look at that. 8,000 to 20,000, a bit of a range, and as you can see, somebody was hoarding those, but yeah, 4,000, it is on the lower end price-wise, so honestly, I could buy a new one right now, have one for another pet or to give to a friend. It is incredibly affordable, and for me, with the fact that I'm only taking on the more beginner battledome opponents for right now, as I still am like sort of getting comfortable with it, this is an incredibly useful item, and just doing one of your daily quest log is going to get you able to afford this. Obviously, I am confident that not very many Neopians are going to watch this video, because otherwise wouldn't be giving this top tier info away. But yeah, as you can see, the average rating is an 8.5. It is not the highest tier. It's no seasonal attack P, right? But it gets the job done for what I need it for right now. So I really enjoy this item. I think it's really useful. And the other item that I use constantly is this magical healing potion. Those are two of the most important things. These other items I sort of have just gotten through dailies. The green frost cannon, I would say that's also a fairly good item to grab. But as you can see here, this magical healing potion, worth 2 neopoints. It is not expensive, especially if you're doing that daily quest log now. It is not expensive to get started in the battledome, so long as you are incredibly careful about the health of your neopet. If you are like me and you really, really care about never losing, if you're okay with having some losses on your record, obviously you don't have to be as careful, but this is top tier, in my opinion, for keeping my neopets' health up as we're in the battledome. Now, this is only one-time use per battle, and we'll see that in action in a little while. But it is incredibly valuable for me using this potion, and it is so, it's basically a junk item. Yeah, same goes for basically all of these. I do not use expensive equipment. Another thing I will say, your abilities here, these are going to be really handy, but if you're only a level 1, this is actually the ability that comes in handy, or that I use most often. I don't use Cranky as often as I use Halitosis and Meditate. So if your Neopet is still low level, as long as you are willing to keep a really close eye on those hit points, you should be set to go fairly quickly just getting started in the battledome. Alright, and as I'm talking about abilities, that is this tab here, and it is fairly easy to get these abilities, especially if you start Battledome battling without it, because you need these fairy blessings, which just come from the weakened bottled fairy items, and each one correlates with the type of blessing you get. So if you release a weak bottled earth fairy, you will get an earth fairy blessing here. As you can see, I've got a bunch of dark, air, and light just already loaded up for when I reach level 25. Rebella is level 22 right now, so I will be unlocking one of these items quite soon. But for right now, I'm only working with these first 3 abilities. I don't have experience with these other items, but I've just used halitosis. I will be honest, I just picked the abilities that I thought were the funniest for an elderly person to have. Which is it's not the most solid advice, but it's how I work. So I picked halitosis, meditate, and cranky for hers, and as you can see, if you have enough blessings to learn something, if you regret a choice, you can always swap over. So as long as you still are getting those weakened bottled fairies that you can get a blessing from, you don't have to be too precious about learning these abilities. As far as I understand it, it might be different once you get to the higher levels, but right now, you see I have trained halitosis. I can click on drizzle and say train these abilities, so that signals to me that I can swap them out. I haven't done that because I like my abilities, but it's good to keep in mind if you end up thinking, maybe I would prefer to have a different one in the future. Okay, this next tab is the records tab, and it shows you all of the Battledome opponents that you have faced, what their difficulty was set at, how many fights, how many wins, how many losses. As you can see, this one this was with Stacely. She lost twice here. That's why it doesn't show up in Rebella's stats. That was a different pet who was battling this. I don't know why I did that. I had absolutely zero information going into it, and it was years ago, I feel like, and it was like my one experience with the Battledome, and then I was like, I don't think this is for me, and I gave up. So that's why those losses are there. Otherwise, 0 losses across the board. But when you click on it, it gives you some more information, when you last fought this, what the score was, etc. So it shows you how many hit points that challenger has, and then here you can see this was my one draw with Rebella that I just lost track of where her hit points were, and I had battled Donnie, I think, you can see here quite a few times in a row, and that's when I lost track of her hit points, and it resulted in a draw. So careful about that if you want a perfect record in the Battledome. So somebody can totally correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like this 2 times featured tab doesn't work. No matter how much I click on it, it doesn't seem to load anything, so that doesn't seem to be implemented just yet. And then this Battlepedia, it does let you search items, so we can go ahead and search that magical healing potion, right? But unfortunately, some of the items are not in here. The Battlepedia, it has some information here, but the on Neopets Battlepedia isn't as extensive as the Jelly Neo Battlepedia. So they have their base site, they have the item database, all of these things, and the Battlepedia. So this is a great resource to look at, when you are looking for whether a weapon is going to be helpful. There are some really expensive weapons on neopets that are not even in the same caliber as the multi-barbed ice spear or any number of the cheaper weapons. So looking here, seeing what the recommendations are is imperative if you don't want to accidentally waste your money on battle items. And then there's also the challengers page, which it lists out all unlockable challengers, and it shows exactly what their prizes are, I believe is available. Let's see, Chia Clown is one of the easiest and first ones. So when you click through to here, you will get what the challengers' abilities are and what their weapons are that they will use against your pet. And then you can view prizes here. So this will take you to the prize page, and as you can see here, the Chia Clown will drop the same things whether it's on easy, medium, or hard. That just increases their hit points and how long it's going to take for you to take this challenger down. Now, this is a great page to look at because it also shows you the general prizes. So you can get a random one of these prizes in addition to the challenger specific prizes when you battle them. Let's start a battle so I can walk you through the steps of how you are going to face your first challenger. So first you're going to hit that battle button to get to this page. You're going to have a double check over what your equipment is, make sure that you have what you need. Again, the 3 items here that I deem the most important and most helpful is that multi-barbed ice spear, this magical healing potion, and my frost cannon. Any of the low tier frost cannons are going to be helpful, but again, it's just something, especially when you're taking the low level challengers down, this tomato bomb is just as helpful. And you know, when you only have 10 hit points to get out of somebody, you're going to be able to do that pretty quickly with a very limited amount of items, very low level items. So you're going to go ahead and click that continue button and then make sure you're set to challenger. 2-player is a whole different beast and not something that happens very often. It's much more difficult from what I've read to face 2 players. So we're not battling any other Neopians, we are just battling a challenger. And then you get to this page. These are all of my unlocked challengers. Your page might be slightly shorter because there are some that are already unlocked and some that you have to unlock through random events, visiting certain pages, all sorts of things. If you want to unlock all of the challengers, take a look at the Battlepedia. It will walk you through how to unlock challengers. But one challenger that you will certainly have unlocked, that is automatically unlocked, is this Chia Clown. Now, I will say, you will also have Punching Bag Bob. Even though it says there is a difficulty level of 0, if you click on Punching Bag Bob, he actually has about 5,000 hit points. This is not something that I knew going into this. So I fell for it. I challenged Punching Bag Bob, and the reason he's a difficulty 0 is not because he has few hit points, it's because he can't hit you back. He's a punching bag. But in order to win the battle, it was incredibly tedious to keep dealing damage over and over and over again. If you have the patience for that, I will say it is kind of funny to have him here on my lookup that I beat him. But they only give that out because it's tedious, and it's honestly, it's like a little badge of shame that I fell for it and had to battle. It took me hours. So we're not going to battle him today. Today we're going to look at the Chia Clown, and I'm going to put it on lowest difficulty so it's only 10 hit points. And then we're going to hit battle. Alright, and then we are in the central arena, which has its own set of prizes. It has its own general prize pool as well as the challenger specific prizes. So do keep that in mind when you're browsing challengers. I will show you another challenger in just a moment that has a different prize pool. But for now, we're going to take on the clown Chia. So we're going to go ahead and hit that fight button. Now, this little part might look overwhelming, but don't worry. You don't have to focus too much on this. This is the opponent's 2 weapons and ability that they will use. They will choose that after you've chosen yours. So I'm going to go ahead, and because I'm high hit points right now, I don't have to heal right away, but I could. It is an option. But I'm going to go ahead and do basically what I always do, which is attack with this item. Now, I think it will allow me to fight without using a secondary weapon, so I'm going to try that right now and see if we can take him out with just my level 1 ability and the spear. I'm not entirely sure that that will be a one-hit KO, but we'll see. Alright, so he only did me 1 point of damage. Now that's important to keep in mind if you have a really low level, low hit point pet. That's only 1 hit point off. However, he can sometimes deal a little more damage. It just depends on what he chose for his weapons that time. But we'll go ahead and collect our rewards. Not super valuable this time. And we're going to go ahead and exit just because I used to grind the Chia Clown and Mr. Chuckles as well, who I believe you have to unlock, but it's very simple to unlock him. Again, check the Battlepedia for any of the challengers you want to unlock, because they will have instructions on how to unlock them. But I used to battle those a whole lot, but now because I'm a little bit more confident in my abilities, I have gone on to another challenger who is in a different arena, so the pool of prizes is a little bit better. Now you can see that the Kreliodin Defender robot here only has 14 hit points, so just a step above. And I'm going to keep it at easy so he stays at 14 hit points. However, again, look at the Battlepedia, see if you maybe want to take the risk of going a little farther. You can see it goes to 21 hit points on medium, and on hard it's 28. Now I think I could probably defeat him, especially with how tanky Rebella is, but for right now, for the purposes of this tutorial, and for the purposes of keeping in mind that not every pet is going to have a lot of hit points, we're going to keep him on 14. Alright, and as you can see, we are in a different arena. This one is the Neocola Center. So this one has a different prize pool, and we will see what we get this time when we battle. So I'm going to go ahead and select that multi-barbed ice spear again, and for the purposes of this test, I'm going to just have that item and the halitosis. Now if I wanted to, my max hit points are 110, and she's sitting at a clean 100 right now. So I could also use the magical healing potion. Remember, that's the only 2 things I really sold as being important to have. So I'm going to go ahead and do that as well. So you can see, this item will deal no damage, but it will heal, and we'll see that in action. So we did heal up, but he did do about 10 hit points of damage. So we're back to the clean 100. That is very important if you are wanting to battle with a low HP pet, because that would have been a loss for a low, or a draw if you one hit KO like I did. But that would have been a loss because he would have dealt more damage and knocked the pet out as well. So that's why he's a little bit harder to deal with, and why I really recommend training up a pet before coming into the battle dome, at least making sure that you have a little bit of padding when it comes to HP. But as you can see, we did get different prizes. Again, what I showed was not the extensive prize list. Personally, I just prefer the Neocola Center prizes. Code stones are a general prize, so you will get that in basically any arena. But this Galaxy Energy Drink, that's one of the Neocola Center prizes. You can also get Neocola coins, which I have been saving up, and hopefully I will be making a video on trying those in the Neocola machine in a little while. But I'm still saving those up. I'm saving scratch cards up. I was going to do a whole video just doing those sorts of things. So I am going to go ahead and take this guy on until I get locked out of earning items. There is a daily limit for how many items you can earn through battledome. I started here with an empty inventory so that we're going to see exactly what I get from 1 day worth of battling. Actually, this happened quite fast. As you could see earlier, I was getting one-hit KOs every time I battled. But this time, he did not take enough damage to be a one-hit KO. So we actually have a second move. Now, I want to explain a couple things if you get to a position where you have a second move. Your ability will likely be locked here. If you are super low level and you only have the one ability, you won't be able to select this. Thankfully, the barbed ice spear allows you to use it for another move, but as you can see, my healing potion is gone. So that's another thing to keep in mind as you battle, is whether or not you believe that if you are in a one-hit KO situation, sometimes even as easy as this challenger is for me at my level, you might be in a situation where, again, my pet has taken 3 hit points of damage. So if you are a super low level, I do recommend doing Swashbuckler Academy, even maxing out Swashbuckler Academy, but just keep that in mind whether or not you feel it's worth the risk to take on a slightly higher challenger such as this robot. For demonstration purposes, even if you only have these and you only had the one ability, since he only has 2 hit points right now, I do believe I can take him out with the second swing of just the ice spear. So I'll show you guys that. Alright, so with that second move, again, just something to keep in mind, he did take a total of 10 hit points off. Max that I have seen today was 14 hit points off, so again, just something to keep in mind. Even if a challenger is usually a one-hit KO with these items, it's not always going to be the case. Alright, so that didn't take very long. I have reached the item limit. Now, as it says, I can continue to fight, but with how low level I am, 50 neopoints per battle doesn't feel super valuable to me. So this is usually the point where I call it quits and I'm going to go ahead and check out what I have gotten. I make sure to hit that exit button so that it doesn't think I'm still in a battle. That can affect a lot of things around the site. such as not being able to heal your pets at the healing springs. Now again, because I have that healing item and I have so many hit points with Rebella, I actually don't really need healing at the healing springs right now, but that is always an option after a battle, as long as it's been 30 minutes since the last time you visited the healing springs. I also highly recommend getting some of those cheap healing potions and just keeping them on you, just in case you don't keep topping up your neopets' health with that health potion. But I was showing in those clips constantly using the health potion just to keep up those hit points as we went. So here is my haul of the day. Not super valuable. Again, these are pretty low level. I'm still a beginner. I'm still not doing all that much. But I'm going to go ahead and put on the screen a breakdown of what the estimated value is on each of these items, and you can sort of see how many neopoints you might be getting for doing your battles. And I do say that these items, the Neocola tokens, are maybe more valuable as a taking a chance item rather than straight up putting it in your shop and selling it as is item. But I am going to make a separate video on the Neocola machine and testing that out and seeing what we get from that. And then again, the code stones you earn are going to be really, really helpful once you graduate from Captain Three Legs Swashbuckling Academy and once you get to those higher levels. Like I said, I'm not even there yet. I am only taking on those low level opponents, and I'm taking this slow even with a really high hit point pet, just to make sure that I don't lose. Again, if you are totally cool with having some of those losses on the board, they don't bother you, you just want to keep going forward, that is totally okay. That's a super valid way to play. I just love that my bar is all the way green, so I'm being extra careful about it. As you can see here, not super high value items, but you're not going to get rich just doing battledome one time. It's a daily for a reason. This is just a nice lot of goods to get. And again, some days you're going to get higher value, some days you're going to get lower value. Sometimes I get those red code stones while I'm battling. I'll insert a clip here of maybe a higher value day of what I earned that day. Today was pretty low value, but again, that's why you battle every day. I hope that this has been super helpful. I know I am just a beginner and we are barely scratching the surface of what battledome can be, but I hope this made it a little less stressful to sort of dip your toes in to figuring out battledome and starting out for the first time. Like me, you might be a beginner and you might be unsure and you might be scared to try, but just know you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. That has been it for this beginner's guide to begin battling in the battledome. I may make a couple more episodes of this just to really hammer home what can be done, who can be challenged. I would love to cover the battleground of the obelisk because that is a super fun thing to participate in and it's super easy. Those challengers, there are some that only have 8 hit points, so they're really easy to take on. It's beginner friendly. So yeah, I will love to cover that. It begins on the 11th this month, so hopefully I'll be covering that very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!